Story: Velvet Lies. From Madison's perspective. "I love you," he said, and I hated that he meant it. I lay next to Jake, his arm around my waist, like an anchor, a cage, a reminder of who I was supposed to be. He slept peacefully. Of course he did. He always did. And I stared at the ceiling, counting the cracks like kisses from strangers. Last night, I was with Tyler, the bartender. Tattoos, dirty laugh. He didn't ask how my day was. He asked how I liked it, fast or slow. I chose fast. I told Jake I was working late. In reality, stilettos, lace stockings, a trench coat with nothing underneath. Tyler met me in the alley. He didn't say, "You're beautiful." He said, "You're mine." And I let him. When I came home, Jake had made pasta, homemade sauce, basil from the windowsill. He kissed my forehead. I flinched. "You okay?" "Just tired," I lied. But I wasn't tired. I was starving, shaking, burning, craving new hands. Then came Marcus, the photographer. He said I had eyes begging to be ruined. I didn't argue. Then Eli, married. He cried afterward, said he'd leave his wife. I laughed. I didn't want love. I wanted fire. One day, Jake found a receipt. 2 martinis, 1 hotel room. He didn't yell. He just looked at me. "Was it just one guy?" I said, "No." And for the first time, I felt not pain, but something strange, like I'd lost something I never valued. I stood in front of the mirror, red lips, black heels. A stranger stared back. I liked her. "I love you," Jake said, and I hated that he meant it. I thought things would get easier after Jake. Freedom was supposed to feel light, right? But the next morning, I woke up in a stranger's apartment, wearing his shirt, his scent clinging to my skin, and felt a kind of emptiness that wasn't light. It was sticky, like cheap gloss on my lips. His name was Nate. He was a DJ, loud, confident, with hands that didn't ask. He said, "You look like you want to disappear." I said, "I already have." We went to a club. I wore a short dress, patterned stockings, heels that made my feet ache, but I couldn't stop. Every cocktail was a delete button. Every glance was proof I was still wanted. Every morning felt like punishment. I tried to remember when I stopped being myself. Maybe it was when Jake said, "You're my peace," and I thought, I want to be a storm. Then came Jason, younger. He called me Mrs. Danger. We had sex in a fitting room while the clerk knocked on the door. I laughed. I felt alive. For 15 minutes. One night, I came home, not to Jason, not to Nate, just to my empty apartment. I sat on the floor, played a voice message from Jake. He said, "I don't know who you've become, but I still love the girl I used to wake up next to." I cried, not from pain, from not knowing how to go back and not knowing if I wanted to. Things with Liam were different. He didn't tear my clothes off. He undressed me with his eyes, slowly, reverently, as if I were something sacred and dangerous at once. He didn't rush. He waited. And that was the most intoxicating part. One night he said, "You're not dirty, you're wounded." I wanted to slap him, but instead I leaned into his neck, his breath, his patience. We spent the night without the usual performance. No heels, no theater, just lying there. He stroked my hair. I cried. He didn't ask why, but I knew he felt it through his fingers, his skin, the silence. Every touch was a confession, every breath a dare. In the morning, I put on his shirt. It smelled like something calm, not lust, not drama. Home. I stood in front of the mirror, no makeup, no mask, and for the first time in ages, I didn't feel like a stranger. But she still lived inside me, the one who craved the night, the one who chose cocktails over coffee, the one who knew how to drive men mad and vanish before sunrise. A week passed. Liam vanished. No call, no message, just silence. I checked my phone every 10 minutes. Nothing. He had evaporated. And I was back in the void he pulled me out of. I texted, "Are you alive?" His reply came 2 days later. "You're not who you pretend to be. I saw you at the club with someone else, in stockings, in your role." I froze. He saw, he knew, and he left. I got drunk. Too fast, too much. Bar, stranger. Name, irrelevant. He was rough. He didn't ask. He just took. And I let him because I wanted to punish myself. Because I wanted to forget Liam. Because I was still the girl who disappears before sunrise. The next morning, a bruise on my thigh. The smell of tobacco. An emptiness that no longer scared me. It felt familiar, like heels, like lies. I came home, opened my laptop, and saw an email from Jake. "I heard you're back in the clubs. I'm not surprised. But still, if you ever want to be real, I'm still here." I closed the screen, laughed, loud, shaky, almost hysterical. Real? What if the real me is exactly this? I stepped outside with no destination, no makeup, no heels, just an old coat that smelled like last winter and someone I used to love. The city was gray, but in that grayness, there was something honest. No one was pretending. Everyone was just moving. I turned into the park, the one Jake and I used to walk through. There was the same street lamp where he once said, "You're my universe." And I remembered thinking, what if I'm a black hole? On a bench sat an old woman. She was watching pigeons and eating an apple. I sat beside her. The silence between us felt light, like we both knew words weren't necessary. Suddenly she said, "Sometimes we lose ourselves to find out who we really are." I turned to her. "Do you say things like that to strangers often?" "Only to the ones who look like they're about to disappear." I kept walking. On the corner, a bookstore. I went in. On the shelf, a book titled The Art of Falling. I opened it to a random page. It read, "You are not broken, you are rearranged." I closed the book. My heart was pounding, like something inside me was waking up. At the exit, there was a man holding a coffee. He smiled. "You look like you're searching for answers." "I don't even know what questions to ask," I replied. He handed me the coffee. Sometimes taste is already an answer. I kept walking, with the cup, with the quote in my head, with the feeling that today the city was speaking to me. I went to the bar just to disappear for a few hours. No heels, no expectations, just a cocktail, music, and dim lighting where I could be anyone. And then I saw him. He was big, built. His tattoos looked like maps of pain and power. He leaned against the counter, sipping whiskey, and looked at me like he already knew how I moved when I lost control. He walked over, his voice low, husky, with a hint of a smirk. "You know how to be dangerous, don't you?" I raised an eyebrow. "And you know how not to flinch?" He smiled. "I don't fear fire. I just want to know if it'll burn me or warm me." His apartment was minimalist. A mattress on the floor, no curtains, street light pouring in like a spotlight. He didn't rush. He studied. Every touch, a question. Every glance, a dare. He traced my collarbone with his finger. "You're used to those who take. I want to unfold." I didn't answer. I just let him. In the morning, he didn't offer coffee. He simply said, "You're not lost. You've just spent too long in the wrong hands." I left. No kiss, no number, but with the feeling that someone, for once, didn't want to break me. He wanted to understand. Outside, rain, cold, honest, as if the city whispered, "You still have a choice." I walked barefoot, heels in hand, tears on my cheeks, and for the first time, not from pain, but from something inside beginning to shift. I stepped out of the cafe. On the sidewalk, petals, scarlet, velvety, as if someone had scattered them on purpose to remind me even broken things can be beautiful. I stopped. The wind brushed my hair, and in that silence, I heard myself. I thought of Jake, his voice, his patience, the way he looked at me when I came home late wearing someone else's scent. He knew, he felt it, but he didn't yell. He just loved me. And I crushed that love without regret. Back then, but now it came. Late, quiet, but heavy. I remembered how he stroked my hair when I couldn't sleep, how he left notes on the mirror. "You're my star, even if you don't shine for me." And I shone for others, for men who didn't know my real name, for men who saw my body but never my soul. I sat on a bench. The city froze, as if everything around me decided to give me a pause. A pause to feel, a pause to regret. I closed my eyes and whispered, "I'm sorry, Jake. I didn't know how to be loved." Years passed. Life didn't get easier, but it became hers. Jake never forgave. She wrote to him once. No drama, just, "I wasn't ready. I'm sorry." He replied a month later, "I forgave you long ago, but I'm no longer the man who could love you." And that was honest. And it hurt, but it didn't destroy her. She married that same man, the big one with tattoos and eyes that saw right through her. They have 2 kids, a house with windows facing the garden, and silence in the evenings filled with wine and short phrases. They cheat on each other, not out of anger, not out of passion, but because that's who they are. Free, complicated, strangely compatible. Sometimes she watches him sleep and thinks, we don't know how to be faithful, but we know how to stay. She doesn't know if she made the right choice. Sometimes when the kids laugh, she thinks of Jake, of what kind of father he'd be, of what kind of husband. But then she looks at her life, at the chaos, at the honesty, at herself, and she realizes she didn't ruin her life. She simply chose the one she could survive.